Alright, Nightmare Marathon time. This is a build guide for Fire Death 1 build. We got a decent map. This is the second best map, so it just means like there's more space to dodge basically. That's useful. The worst map is Bridge obviously, and the best map would be Forest, but we don't need Forest to win this. Wave 1, I mean this is Marathon, so it's extra easy. Wave 1. Alright, so for Orcs you want to go for the healer first, because I mean you can see like he's just kind of reversing the damage I'm dealing, which just wastes a lot of time there. For Orcs also don't use your secondary because they'll get 50% resistance, so it's really just not worth trying to use it because it's just not doing anything. Cost 20 mana for almost no damage, even when there's a lot of them. And Orcs, for that reason, actually end up being the worst thing to fight with this wand, with the wand build, at least early game. Actually, late game they become the quickest to kill, but because we don't have good AoE against them. For these guys, the main threat is going to be the Agi and the Pistolers. So the Aegis are the guys with the shields, and the Pistolers aren't any this time, but they shoot like two long beams, kind of attacks. That if they get you, they'll really kill you. So we're looking for Incinerate. Incinerate is really strong. Incinerate, Shadow Wand, Heal, and Protect. Those are like the main skills we want to get as soon as we can. Because, well, Protect just, okay, yeah. Protect just saves you a lot of damage. I think these guys are probably going to kill me at least once. Just because I goofed. You gotta kind of acclimate. You want to dodge right as they all put their thing down. So that way you have, like, they're not going to... Basically, what you don't want to do is dodge as some have put their thing down, but not all of them. Because that way, then, you dodge into a circle, and then you're dead. So you want to delay it a little bit. But not too much, because then you won't be able to dodge out of the way in time. We want to call 2 trinkets so we can get Everfire in the shops, the trinket shops. Got heal, that's great. We also have Druid Staff, but that's not helpful right now. Because obviously we're just going to go straight for 75 Dom. Any damage loss here is both slow and also normally lethal, just because like you can't kill anything anymore. So skeletons are going to be the easiest just because they don't really have a threat. Like cannoneers are the only thing that can like reliably hit you. I mean the berserkers can, like if you make a mistake obviously they'll just kind of kill you, but once you get used to it. But yeah, you can see the cannoneers chipping away at me and it's not the easiest to dodge, although you gotta kill the ghosts if you can. Ghosts are annoying just because they take away your mana regen. And without any mana talents actually, mana burn doesn't do very much, but it does reduce your mana regen, so you don't get as many secondaries, which are really the only damage you can do against them because they have pierce resistance. You can see like the damage is darker, so I want to try to avoid... Can't math. I want to get 75. Yeah. Elementals are dangerous, but they're not hard to kill. Like, you just need to like think, and then especially when you have more like larger groups of them like this, you need to think about the projectiles. So you can't just go in like a flat circle. You have to watch the projectiles and time your dodges to them. And yeah, sometimes you get owned by the lightning. But you know, 1 death on a wave like this is kind of normal-ish. Especially with this ping, I'm probably dead. I guess maybe not. But any second I could die, basically. So never lose your cool with those guys. Those are going to be the most intense fights, but also they're not the hardest. Alright, we're going. Obviously the last few waves are the hardest, except if you're on quick, then they're always the hardest. Okay, Nulls are okay. Nulls, the warriors suck, and obviously the Nulls themselves are really big problems. So you just gotta watch carefully for where isn't red, but yeah. Normally as well, also you'll die like once or twice. Yeah, I got body blocked by the assassin there. That was unfortunate. But you shouldn't need another life for this. Yeah, sometimes you can make it through. It just depends on like how they get you. Especially, I'm getting body blocked a lot. Okay, I might die again. Actually, it's just like kind of bad play here. You can see this is why we're getting the damage. We're killing these guys really fast. Yeah, and the gnolls will lose their... So the gnolls have 100% magic resistance, and they have the damage circle until you kill every other enemy. And then you can hurt them easily. So we're looking for this. Flame of Everpire is really good. Not cult, but... Okay, we got Shadow Wand, that's great. For, yeah, Marathon is going to be easier than Standard or Quick. So if you're kind of new to the build or the game, go Nightmare Marathon for your first, like, Nightmare attempt. Got Gnolls again, but Shadow Wand is much better against them just because of damage, but I think I'm going to die because there's warriors everywhere. Now, really, yeah, Unstable Shadows as well. These guys, they kind of look like they're lumbering. They have this unique mechanic where they explode, and if you're near them, they'll just kill you in one hit. They'll point blank. So sometimes you'll see like, oh, I took 500 damage. Where was that from? They one-shot me. You know, it's not that unbalanced. You just got shotgun hit. It's kind of hard to see them. But if you see something not actively trying to attack you, it's probably an Unstable Shadow, and don't stand near it because it will kill you when you don't expect it. But typically they don't like go right next to you unless you wander near them, because they don't like actively follow you or anything. And also we're looking for Protect. That's another really good skill for early game and for late game. Protect is just always great in general. Yeah, don't call Druid Staff. Also, actually don't call Firewall either, because we want to get Incinerate as fast as possible, so any way we can get that would be great. As soon as we get Mana 1, you take it, because Mana 1... And we got Orcs, that's actually really unfortunate. Orcs are the hardest. Now really, I should have equipped Combat TP as well, because now I have enough mana to actually afford to like use it. But it's fine, there's not enough time to, so yeah, for the Orcs in the turnaround here, just cut through the center of them. They have a hard time getting you that way. Just don't get body blocked, so you gotta watch carefully for where they are. Because if you get stuck on one, you're very much dead meat. Oh, like, yeah, without Protect, I mean, like, I can be healing, but it's not easy. I don't know, you should probably bind heal to an easier key to hit, but, like, I have heal on 2, and I'm not super used to hitting that, so. Especially, like, we don't also have, notice, I'm trying to use mana darts now, because it just makes things go a lot faster. Perfect, so that was, I believe, wave 8. Went much better than I had a recording before this of the bridge. That went very badly. So yeah, we get 75 mana, 75 Dom for our beautiful crit mass. And actually, I'll put Dom 2 on right now, just because Dom 2 is good. I'll quit Combat Teleport later, we don't need it right now. Yeah, watch out for the mines, too. I just realized, I just stepped on, like, one of those mines. Orc Grenadiers will leave those behind. They will persist. They will not go away unless you step on them, and they will hurt you if it's not in between waves. So, yeah, don't step on them. So we just want to upgrade mostly our weapons and abilities right now. There's not like a ton of intelligence to how we're going to upgrade things. Actually, I'm not going to use fire right now. It eats too much mana. Before you use Fire Strike, you want to get another fire skill. So, like, if I get Infernal right here, we did not. Then, so yeah, we culled enough trinkets that we can get Everpire every time we buy this. That's going to be our main way of leveling up Everpire, which ends up being a lot of our damage. And we could buy stat points. I'm not going to. I have enough because I have influence. We don't need to buy that because we will buy this to unlock Incinerate, but there's no more Incinerate. Upgrading Combat Teleport is useless. Never do it. It's better just I mean, you can, but like, it's the same as skipping, basically. For no money, that is. We got Protect and Incinerate, so those are great rolls. And we got the easiest maps, so this run is probably good. If you get Bridge right now, like, once again, it's kind of hit or miss. Also, so one thing to note about Phase 1 is that enemies, because we haven't put anything in Con, have a much higher proportion of damage dealt to health. So you're gonna be taking, you know, before in the phase 0 you were maybe a 3 or 4 hit to most things. Now you're a 1 or 2 hit to most things. And I have wisdom 81 now as of recording, so I'm like way over leveled, and that gives me a lot of extra health. But if you're going with a 0 influence account, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. Fireball is great. I'll take it over Convergence right now. So now it's probably worth using Fire Strike, actually. When I got Incinerate, I should have switched back to it. But yeah, as you can see, the fire absolutely dominates these guys. And then we mostly just use Wand for single target, but it's really strong single target. I'm going to equip Fire Strike before I start the round, so I don't have to worry. And then, as a note, always Sheath, Sprint, and Teleport right as a wave starts. That stops any shenanigans of basically just getting spawn killed. It's a very helpful trick. Oh, I forgot I have it bound to F. Fireball, that is. I was trying to use it. But yeah, the game gets a lot easier now. Even without influence, it's still easier. Oh, I should have taken Arcane Conduit there, but I was a little too quick. Arcane Conduit, you get it. It's just like gives you all your mana back once, which is really helpful. Even when, like, before you have blood magic, it's kind of needed. Even once you do have blood magic, it's still really helpful. Oh, yeah, so one of the things about this map you have to remember is it has invisible walls. I guess the best example I'll show you in a second is once we get rid of these nulls. Don't like nulls. Get out of here. It's right over here, so you'll notice, like, I can't walk in here. Why is that? I don't know. This is stupid, but yeah, don't ever try dodging there because you will die. And it's happened to me many times before. You can see orcs are now quite easy to kill, but yeah, they can still kill you as well, so. It's important to remember, never get cocky with orcs. And the main trick for dodging the Aggie is just to look at them. Like, look at where their attack is going to land. Because if you dodge parallel to their attack beams, then you'll die. But if you dodge perpendicular, then you'll be fine. So actually, 2 talents we want. I should have taken Dom 3 as soon as I got it, but I didn't because I'm stupid, so ignore that. But Dom 3, Dom 4, really strong. Dom 4 makes everything that does area damage like 10 times stronger. Dom 4 kind of wins the game on the spot, and now we're probably going to be fine for the rest of the run. Things like Incinerate and Fireball are now going to absolutely dominate, because things that are grouped up get knocked down. Focus Ring is good for times like these. Just kind of mess around with that. We want to upgrade Incinerate. Incinerate is going to be our main wave clear. Incinerate and Fireball. So you pop Fireball. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, it just absolutely melts everything. And then Incinerate is a good follow-up to that. But because Dominance 4 spreads all your magic damage, you end up having a crap ton on groups. And we got ourselves a boss here. And many bosses are really easy in early phases. You don't really need to think, just remember to shoot your shadow as soon as you have Shadow Wand, and I tend to bind Incinerate to left shift because I pause shooting my other attacks to do that. I could continue holding down Fire Strike, but it's not easier, it's better to use Incinerate. Okay, so that was a mistake. Now this is where we get to use Druid Staff. Just a little constant regen here, so we don't really have to think about our health as much. So you just want to constantly dodge. This is where Combat Teleport comes in handy because it's an instant dodge. Like, I probably would have died there with Combat Roll, or at least gotten close. This is where you wish you had Arcane Conduit, but I didn't take it. So we just don't use Fire Strike here, basically. And danger, the cage. This is actually the most dangerous part because those bullets kind of are evil and they do a lot of damage. So we kind of want to kill Cage early. Ossus and Forgotten honestly aren't that dangerous compared to... Okay, this attack from Forgotten is pretty dangerous. Just keep moving, you'll be fine. But Cage is what you worry about, so we just take Cage down, and then we're probably pretty good. Just remember to reapply regen if you can. I have a little bit of mana, so I'll use Fire Strike here, but it's perfect. Now, upgrade Druid Staff instead of Heal. You don't really need to use Heal anymore, now that we have Druid Staff and Protect. For this shop, always check Reforges first. We got Infernal, which is great. You might not always get it. You don't actually need it. It's very helpful, but it's not mandatory. The rest of the build can win for you. It helps especially mostly for Vainglory because you have more fire damage. Because she gets Pierce immunity, and I don't take Dom 4, or I don't take Stir 4, which negates resistances. Take some stat points here. Honestly, the shop was not that important for this build, so we don't really care about it. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll get 200 Dom, or I'll get 75 Dom, 75 mana, 200 Dom, 100 Agi, and then for Nightmare I actually tend to take 200 health just because I like getting as few deaths as possible. But if you think you're cool, you can take 75 just for blood magic. But so the Agi talents are really helpful because they allow us to play into the ranged playstyle of this build. And the whole point of this build is we're trying to be far away from things when we shoot them, because our talent combination allows us to do up to 50% more damage when we're at range. And we also utilize blood magic to do an additional 32.5% damage when we're taking damage from blood magic. From Relentless and then blood magic itself. Relentless gives 7.5% more damage when you get hit, but that'll proc from blood magic, and blood magic is the dominance health trait. So we end up getting about 100% extra damage, which I believe stacks additively on top of just the base wand and fire damage, which is absolutely insane. And that's what ends up making the build so strong. In terms of survivability, you do have to be pretty good at dodging for this to work, or otherwise you'll die a little bit. But just, like, you know, you're fast, so you're fast and you want to stay far away from things. So yeah, in case you didn't know, you can't shoot through these circles. Anytime you see a red circle like that, you gotta shoot around it. Yeah, I'll go for 200 con. So we just take blood magic. And now note, blood magic can kill you, and it will if you're not careful, so please watch, or you will die. And it will be kind of funny, but also a life drain and annoying, so don't do it. Yeah, elementals are very annoying. You just want to pop fireball. Especially elementals have fire resistance, but incinerate will still damage them. So if you can, be sure to abuse that. You can still kill groups of them. You group them up, use incinerate, they go bye-bye. Also fireball, because fireball does bludgeon. Fire elementals happen to be immune to fire, which, you know, makes sense. So they're literally made of fire. So the bosses, yeah, we just want to stay far away. We want to just shoot them. If you can you can shoot out of the interdictions, which is what those red circles are called. So if you have to, do that. But yeah, the game gets basically exponentially easier as we get into these phases. This is going to be the easiest part of the game. Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4. Phase 4 gets a little harder just because things start to hurt you again. And with all the mini-bosses, a little annoying. So the strat for dealing with bosses is you mostly just want to kill any Forgotten Shadows, the ones with the interdictions first. Reason being is that they take away your ability to be ranged. It's really hard to get the range bonuses when we're far away. But you do a ton of that. So, okay, we just got Dragon's Breath, which is kind of overpowered. I'll showcase how to use Dragon's Breath, but I will not be using it for the rest of the run after I showcase it, because you don't always get it. It's pretty rare. This build doesn't call even a Nightmare. I mean, you could, but it doesn't really make it stronger because there's so many things to upgrade, right? We're utilizing like maybe 15 different items. So you can upgrade anything. Like, I'm just buying randoms and always getting something to upgrade. So it really doesn't matter what you do in that regard. So we're just going to keep getting health for talents. Yeah, all these ones, right, you take them as you get them. You get blood magic first. Then next up, you want to get body and souls 1. This heals you. It also negates a ton of blood magic damage. And then, depending on what you're doing, you'd either want to get adaptability or hot-blooded first. Typically, I go for adaptability. But if you tend to go under half a lot, it actually turns out that the speed is better from hot-blooded. And if you ever fight the phase 3 boss and you get the crystal guy, you always want hot-blooded. That makes him free since those crystals can't damage you anymore. So it's really important that you kind of pay attention to how the run is going and kind of adjust how you take your talents to match that more. Like if we had gotten boat, I might actually have not taken either of those in exchange for Con 4 if I can get it. Constitution 4, or I'm sorry, not. It used to be called Constitution, the health stat. They renamed it recently. So if I ever make references to Constitution or Perseverance, Perseverance is mana. They're just old stat names for the same thing. Yeah, so phase 3 is definitely the most boring since you're majorly overstated. And then yeah, you dominance dump once you get 200 or 75 health depending on what you're doing. So yeah, that is a showcase of Dragon's Breath. It's basically its damage exponentially scales when you're dealing with groups. So on 3 or 4 enemies, it's not actually great. It's not great for bosses even. Alright. Just as a note, that ghost was mana burning me. Now, mana burn can't hurt you through blood magic. Like, the mana loss can't deal damage to you, but it will cause you to take more damage from blood magic if you spend mana, since your mana regeneration isn't factoring in. It's not negating some of that blood magic damage, because you're not spending the full mana. So yeah, here's a proper showcase of Dragon's Breath. Yeah, it just nukes everything in one hit. It's kind of stupid. So if you get it, like, abuse it, but this is not a Dragon's Breath build. You can build for it, but because the problem is it's so rare. It has like a base, 400 deck chance or something stupid. So you don't always even get it. In Marathon, basically you will. In Standard or Quick, don't bet on it. Unless you call for it, but at that point you're using a Dragon's Breath build, not a wand build, if you're like explicitly culling to get Dragon's Breath. And you're better off suited doing other things to maximize your damage there. And Dragon's Breath actually does have less boss damage. Dragon's Breath is less good overall, since the thing this build really excels at is using fire to deal with waves, and then a combination of fire and pierce to deal with things like bosses. Especially Vainglory. Dragon's Breath builds suck at Vainglory because Dragon's Breath is garbage at single target. But Wand and Fire Strike are extremely good for single target. So especially Infernal Wand. So you just go straight through stuff. Yeah, for Incinerate as well, you don't need to have your cursor directly on the enemies, so just kind of nearby, and it'll still trigger. But yeah, I like that. See, I haven't even, all my skills are one-tapping all these guys. Now granted, I do have about 270,000-ish influence. I'll show my influence after this run. But you don't actually need it. I have beaten this with using this exact build, like the exact setup you see, the exact strategy, with no influence on an alternate account. So it's possible, it's harder. But phase 3 is basically still the same level of easy, which is to say you don't really have to try. I mean, you still do need like some dodging ability, but the key is to kill everything before it can kill you. which with Dom 4, like, yeah, you can do that. So just reapply Protect whenever you can. Stay far away, abuse combat teleport. Remember, when you're trying to dodge, the biggest thing to remember about dodging is do not try to dodge where you want to dodge. Dodge where you can dodge. What I mean by that is if enemies are attacking in a straight line, right? And your plan was to continue backpedaling, don't. Dodge to the side. Because the enemies will get you if you go in a straight line. They will not get you if you change your direction. Look for where there isn't red and dodge there, which is a weird, you know, you would think, oh, that, of course, that's intuitive. I would always do that. No, actually, you would be surprised the number of deaths you actually get from not paying attention to that. So yeah, Incinerate just shreds bosses, and it's ridiculous. So sometimes, especially with combat teleport, since you can go through enemies, the best option is actually to dodge straight through the middle of the pack. And now that we have the Agi Dominance skill, or I think it's actually Agi Purse. Agi Mana, yeah. This skill, you don't get slowed down, no range slow, see, same speed. So I'll showcase now Dragon's Breath on bosses. On boss groups of 3, it's kind of strong. Incinerate is actually probably stronger still. And yes, your skills like Incinerate and Blood Magic, Blood Magic is not a skill. Incinerate and fire damage is also boosted by being at range. So when you're standing far away from something, it's just going to take double damage. So always do that if you can. I see a lot of people who use this build and don't do that, and I'm like, bro, you're missing out on half the build's damage. Like, no wonder you're not doing good damage, because you're not using it right. A lot of this build is learning how to use it as well, because like we have a full hotbar, which with a lot of builds, especially ones that cater to newer players, just max one skill. So you wouldn't use the other stuff, or if people do, they don't put it in the build. So in this, I'm just mostly upgrading things uniformly. Incinerate is good to upgrade. Protect is good to upgrade. Dragon's Breath, if you get it, great to upgrade. Fire Strike is okay. What else? I have a talent. I have 3 talents. Very smart. I forgot to do this. It doesn't really matter. Agi 1, Health 1, you don't really need. Agi 1 is kind of nice. Wand is great to upgrade. Arcane Conduit, don't. Focus Ring, like if you have to. Heal if you have to, same thing. Like if you're buying in shop and you have the choice between nothing and something, obviously it's going to be something. But don't take cards you don't need. Ignore those cards because they cause deck bloat. Deck bloat, it just basically means there's cards in your deck you don't want, because there's a bunch of things that like I don't use, right? Like I don't want Flurry, for example, which is a dual weapon skill. I would never use that. I'm not even using dual weapons. So seeing that come up is just a wasted card draw. So I'd rather not see that. And the same applies for every skill I don't use. So the less I see them, the better. And typically taking a card unlocks something. So, you know, unless you have to, don't, basically. So this map sucks, especially. This is the worst map to get for Phase 4 because projectiles are destroyed, which means wand is, like, look, it barely goes any distance. So you want to abuse a fireball and incinerate here as much as you can. And for it to actually, like, see, like, I have to get this close to things to kill them. I mean, enemies' projectiles are destroyed too, so they're less of a threat. But you as a ranger are especially impacted. This is also a nice time to have Dragon's Breath, since I'll just showcase it now. Like, you do that to things and it ignores the projectiles being destroyed. So Dragon's Breath retains its usefulness even here. Okay, so yeah. This is a part where you really want to fireball, bam, everything's dead, one shot. It's ridiculous. It's because it hits so many enemies and they're all close together that Dom 4 ends up amplifying the damage to 5 or 6 times, and you just get absolute carnage. For armors, it's not quite as good since you won't kill them. So fireball first, and then Incinerate, since Incinerate has more bulk damage. So yeah, if the nulls aren't coming, it's probably because there's an assassin, or there's sometimes the mystic shadows, the ones that shoot singular bullets and stand still, will actually be on top of the nulls. So you're just gonna have to use your secondary or some sort of AoE attack to get them, because oftentimes your bullets will just hit the null, but since the null has magic resistance, because not all enemies are dead yet, there's not a lot you can do. Like, you can't really do damage. But yeah, Incinerate and Fireball continue to work. Fireball, even though the Fireball is, quote, destroyed by the wind, but it just detonates. And because it has ridiculous range, it works great. It won't one-shot everything, but that will. So, yeah, Phase 4, Phase 4 isn't... Phase 4 is easier, technically, you kill stuff more quickly, but on the downside, they can kill you. So for bosses, you always want to put regen on, because you might get hit, and also you'll pop blood magic, and you're going to need to heal that damage back. That's where Arcane Conduit comes in. So you'll see when I start to get low, like maybe 60-70% health, and I start using blood okay, so yeah, that was bad. Actually, I took a lot of damage there. But if your health and mana both get low, use Arcane Conduit. So blood magic stops being triggered, and body and soul actually starts healing you instead. We got, so Jukumon Necromancer is basically the only hard boss that isn't Vainglory, just because dodging is annoying. Always shoot Frigid as when they're not in ice casing, and when they are, just go for the other bosses. Or if you're normal, just have fun in easy mode. So he'll, yeah. Basically, as soon as he starts this attack, he'll unice. When he finishes it, he'll probably teleport, but not always. Yeah, there you go. So just look for where his bullets are coming from. A pro tip, that ice shotgun attack, never get hit by it. It will probably one-shot you if you're too close. And each projectile on its own does about 2k, so you'll get messed up regardless. Yeah, just check your talents occasionally. The rest, like these last talents, you don't really need them. But, you know, more power is more power, right? So normally in the shop, you actually want to buy trinkets. Trinkets, weapon upgrades, and just randoms or abilities, but we didn't really get any trinkets. Like, I think our Everpire is only +8 or something. 13, it's not that great. 47% more fire, I mean, it's useful. It's a strong boost, but you can get it up to +40 without any culling, and that's better. But this last shot doesn't really matter. Vainglory, I mean, like, I have 13 lives, but Vainglory actually does pretty badly against this build. Because even though we don't have Con 4, we have about equal piercing from the wand and fire damage from Fire Strike and Infernal, and also the fire skills, the other ones as well, just naturally. So we don't need Stir 4, we just do a lot of damage anyway. And so, I mean, like, dodging him, you know, or her rather, this is actually, the boss is canonically a female. Pretty easy, just don't get hit a ton. I mean, like, you kind of just shred the boss. Once again, stay far away as you can, just sprint backwards constantly. Use combat teleport when they're near to get back into range distance for a little bit. When he uses this attack, you just stand still and then dodge from the center, and that's the hardest attack to dodge. It's like, I use Arcane Conduit, right? So I can get healing instead of damage. That was pretty bad. That was kind of shoddy dodging on my part. But when he's not like actively attacking you, just kind of stay on the edges of the arena and go ham. If you're in a party, that's basically what you'll be doing the whole time, and you'll almost never get hit. But yeah, we about got Vainglory here. I think Vainglory typically gets piercing resistance. Just remember to always be reapplying Shadow with your L2 whenever you're damaging something. since that refunds you mana and does 50% more damage. Only on the wand attacks though. The fire is not boosted. So yeah, that was a good one. I mean, it's pretty slow, but I was also going slow in general. Yeah, you will slowly get this achievement, I think. Oh, I guess not. Dual wield it, whatever. Don't worry about that. And yeah, I mean, these are the stats, right? We did pretty good. It's a lot of damage taken, but hit 2k. It's a marathon for you. But fire inflates your damage a lot, so yeah, it's a pretty good run. And I hope this build guide helped. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to actually append the influence I had at the end of the run. Here it is. I guess just as a quick aside, for influence, what's good? Culling, best. Get this. This is bad, just get 1 or 2 of it once you have a lot. This is okay, don't get a ton of it. Wisdom is the best. Get wisdom, get some avarice, like make them pretty equal. They're both pretty high for me. Scion, bad. Don't really get Scion until, basically don't get Scion until Scion costs more than both avarice and wisdom. So wisdom costs 4k, avarice costs 3k. So I'm actually going to buy one, and basically I want to get these ones both up to above what Scion costs, and then I'll start buying Scion again. Scion got nerfed really hard, so it's bad now. Yeah. That's the influence portion. Once again, you can do that with no influence. It's just harder, and probably don't until you're good at the game. Yeah.